morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you, good people of YouTube. Hope today, hope you are feeling grand and always well in your world. Hello there, everybody. Welcome to a very, very, very chilly morning in the south of France. It's really cold for some reason this morning. Anyway, quite an aggressive intro jam today. I've got very funny feelings going on inside me at this point in time. So, yeah, that came out. I was drawn towards the Gretsch as well this morning. I needed, music wanted me there today. Yeah, not usual kind of playing some of that kind of fast stuff. But I don't remember what it sounded like. But either way, regardless of that, it doesn't make any difference. Anyway, welcome to A&Q Wednesday, everybody. Yeah, let's dive into question one, shall we? Okay, so question one today is, I do apologise for my phone. Question one is: Will you be doing any more of your Peter Green series? I don't know. I would like to do more on all my series, like my John Frusciante one, the Jimi Hendrix one, the Peter Green one, and the Rory Gallagher one. But copyright's made that really difficult. Copyright control, because every time I upload a video, it just gets blocked. So I spend all morning into the afternoon filming it and getting it right, and then editing it, and then uploading it, and then once it's uploaded, it just says it's blocked, and that's it. So, will I be doing any more to a Peter Green series? At this point in time, I don't know. I'm really kind of undecided where I'm going with this, because, I don't know, it's just difficult. It's difficult right now to kind of go yes, no, maybe. I don't know, it's... Copyright issues have really stunted my channel in a way, because I can still do teaching, but I can't teach what I want to teach, which is songs and how to use kind of like theoretical knowledge inside of a song. So it's practical instead of just kind of on a theoretical basis. I don't like doing a whole theoretical thing. I would much prefer to kind of be able to teach you kind of like how and why it works in a song, and when to use it and when not to, kind of thing. So, copyright control has really kicked me in the teeth there, to be perfectly honest. It's really naff. In all fairness, I'm really angry about it. Because there's not much I can do about it, which is the main issue. Because I had so many songs to teach planned. I had all sorts to do, and now I can't do it because I've tried, and every time I upload a video to that area, it just kind of blocks it immediately and just goes, no, you didn't say the magic word, no, whatever it is. It's just, and it's very frustrating, to try and to be kind of like, kept back, if you will. It's very, very annoying. So, will I be doing more of a Peter Green series? I don't know at this point in time, because I've kind of gone through the fundamentals of Peter's playing in that series. The only thing that was really left to do, it's the same as my John Frusciante one. The only thing left to do really is to kind of teach songs and to kind of like get you using the theoretical kind of stuff that I talk about in a practical way. That is kind of the only way to do it. But to do that, I need to be able to teach songs, and I can't teach songs. So, at this point in time, I'm not going to say no, and I'm not going to say yes. I'm just going to say I don't know. Because I really honestly don't know. It's a bit of a kind of kind of thing at this point in time. I don't know where I am with it. But hopefully maybe in the future I can come up with something that doesn't involve me worrying about copyright. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. This copyright thing is an absolute nonsensical mess. It really is. If YouTube made a deal with the record companies and stuff like that, saying like if you didn't monetize your videos, you could teach and cover, then the videos I did when I teach, I wouldn't monetize them, and so I could actually do them. But there isn't a deal like that. It's just a case of like you film it, you edit it, you upload it, and then we'll tell you if we're allowed to put it out there. And I think that's dumb, personally. I think that's really stupid. But I don't know. What do I know? It's just really annoying. It's just very annoying, and it gets my back up. But like I say, I don't know at this point in time. For people asking about the other series as well, the John Frusciante one, the Rory Gallagher one, and the Jimi Hendrix one. Jimi Hendrix Jimmy's definitely a no-no. You know, Jimmy is definitely a no-no. I've kind of gone through everything I can with Jimmy, bordering copyright. You know, I can't really talk anymore, unfortunately, about that. Yeah, it is what it is, sadly. But yeah, will I be doing more in the future? I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm really gonna have to think and ponder. Did anyone else hear that? Weird. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to have to think about that. Okay, so anyway, moving on to question 2 now. Question 2. Would you say an Oswald S type would be as good or better than a Fender for around the same price? Yeah, I would say it's better. Personally, I love Nick's guitars. I absolutely adore Nick's guitars. I would pick them over a Fender in this day and age. I really would. I'm not just saying that because I'm saying that because I honestly would pick them over a Fender. Nick's guitars have got something that factory-made guitars don't have. You know, there's a lot of like love and care and attention and soul in Nick's guitars. They've got something really special. I was a couple of weeks ago, I was at my friend Ian's house, and he's got one now. He's got an Oswald, and he was saying whatever he does to him, like, you know, there's something in them that just puts them above the rest, basically. And I'm like, I totally agree. You know, my 4 Oswalds that are sat over there, like literally, I wouldn't trade them for any Fender. I wouldn't trade a single one of them for any Fender. They are ridiculously good. You know, Nick's guitars, they've got something. You know what that something is I don't know, but that's the beauty of that. Yeah, they're just really special. When you play them and when you feel them and when you kind of like, you know, messing around them, it's like, this is really, really special. And, you know, they're full of kind of like inspiration and music, and it's just wicked. It's wicked. So, you know, I would say they're better personally for the price. And I just love Nick's guitars. I really do. I mean, they're just unreal guitars. They really are. I mean, he really. I mean, there's a reason I call him Master Nick. You know, it's not big. You know, he doesn't make bad guitars. I have not played a single Oswald guitar that I haven't loved. Even ones that I've played where I'm kind of not particularly kind of like fond of maybe the design or something like that. There's just something that's not quite me. I still want it, which is torturous sometimes. The Oswald Jag was a great example of that. That was absolute torture, having to send that one away. I was just, it killed me. But it was so amazing. But that, you know, but that is the thing. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, I would always recommend Nick's guitars. You know, as much as the same way I would always recommend the Revelation RTL 59 if somebody wanted like a Les Paul, you know, and you know, stuff like that. There's just something in his guitars, Nick's guitars, that just make them extra special over, let's say, a Fender or anything else, you know, of that kind of thing, like, you know, like a Sir or what else have we got? It's like a Super Strat. Did Friedman do Super Strats? I don't remember. I think they do now, don't they? Where else can we go with that? You know, there's quite a lot of those kind of like boutique, like, you know, hand-built guitars and stuff. But I've tried, you know, been lucky sod that I am. I've tried a lot of them, but Nick's guitars have got something extra special. Yeah, they really have, and they're just amazing. Really, they're just stunning guitars. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely, I would definitely say that an Oswald S Type is better than a Fender for around the same price range any day of the week. I would happily put mine up against any Fender custom shop any day of the week. Really would. But just amazing. Yeah, just stunning guitars. Absolutely stunning guitars. Okay, so yeah, so I hope that's quick. That was a quick answer. Okay, so I hope that's answered your question. Moving on to question 3 now. Okay, so question 3 is, what looper do you use and why? Okay, so the looper I use, which is easy to hand, is this one, the Ditto X2 looper. And I was given this before this. I was using my Line 6 delay modeler, which is up there, the big green pedal basically. And I was using that for my looper, But I wanted more time when I loop. Like I wanted to have more time and you know, just kind of like not be rushed to create like a backing track and kind of go, right, I've only got like, what was it? I think it's like something like 14 seconds on the line 6, and if you put it into halftime mode, you get 28 seconds. But it's hard to count 28 seconds. You know what I mean? It's quite difficult to do that. So it was always a bit of a pig to try and get backing tracks to kind of work. Whereas with this thing, I can kind of like record an entire kind of song structure, which is really cool. So I can have like a verse and a chorus and stuff like that. So this is really cool. And I say I was given this, my friend Richard gave me this to try, and this is my favourite loop pedal. It really is. I just love it. I mean, it's just, yeah, I just love it. I love the fact you've got the effects on the side, so you can have it, you can send things backwards, you can send things half speed, or you could just have that button as a stop, which is what I have it as. I like to be able to kind of like just click a button and stop, because the double click like that to turn it off, to turn the click off, to turn the backing track off, sorry. I can sometimes do it and sometimes I can't. I don't like trying to think about double tapping things, so I just like to have that set to off so I can just turn it off. And I also like the fact in this one you can store backing tracks, and you know you know, you've got the big volume knob in the middle which you can manipulate with your foot to get the backing track louder or quieter, and it's just ridiculously cool. And and this is the only pedal I ever run into an effects loop. This always runs into an effects loop, whether it be in my Marshall or my Orange or my Katana or whatever amp I've got that's got an effects loop. This is the only pedal I ever run into an effects loop, because it's just really clean then. You know, the backing that comes out of this thing, if it goes through an effects loop, it's just a lot cleaner than it going through the front end. Going through the front end, though, I do have the small nano ditto looper, the small looper. It's not here, it's back in England. But that goes through the front end of amps, and that works really well. You know, I can't fault that. It does work through the front end really, really well. But it's not as clean, not quite as clean as this going through the effects loop. So, and in all fairness, I would always really recommend running a looper through an effects loop. Running through the front end is okay, and it does work. You can get it to work, no problems at all. But running through the effects loop takes a lot of kind of stress and worry away, and you don't really have to kind of like mess around with your pedals to get volumes right so much. You know, it works a lot kind of happier for an effects loop. So, but yeah, this is the looper I use with Ditto X2, and this is amazing. You know, if this one broke, I would just buy another. It's that kind of pedal. So, I just adore this. I really do love it, and like I say, it's just so simple to use as well. Like, I do like the fact that the volume dial is so big, so you can put your foot on it and manipulate it with your foot. Funnily enough, this was on my pedal board. I had it mounted on my pedal board, and I took it off and put it back on the floor because I found I don't like it on my board. It's really, really, really weird. Like, for some reason, I was having trouble with it on my board, like trying to get it clicked in and on off at the right time. And I put it back on the floor, and I immediately kind of fell back into be able to doing it. It was, make of that what you will, people of the tube, but it was very, very strange. Like, I really like this when it's flat on the floor. I don't like it when it's on my board. So, which is kind of good actually, because I wanted to get the past effects chorus on there, so it was kind of, it made space. So, bonus. But yeah, I liked it. I like it on the floor. But this is the looper I recommend. This is the looper I use. It's absolutely marvelous. I tell you, marvelous, darlings, marvelous. I tell you. Weird. What the hell was that? But no, honestly, awesome, awesome, awesome pedal. It's just great. It's just great. And yeah, this is what I would love to try the X4. I think it's the X4. It's basically the next one up from this. I would love to try that at some point because that looks like fun. Yeah, loops on top of loops. Oh yes, please. And being able to turn them off and on. Oh, definitely yes, please. You know, there's also stuff like the Boss kind of looping thing. It's like a big pedal where you can kind of stack loops. I'd like to try that at some point as well. But this, in all fairness, though, this covers me. I'm very, very happy with what this does. It covers everything I need in a looper, really. You know, because everything else comes from a pedal. So this does what it needs to do. Makes me very happy. Sounds absolutely fantastic, and I love it very much. And it's very, very good. yeah, so that is the looper I use, and that is why, because it is amazing. So if you have to looper, they are a bit expensive, the Dittos, but they are worth it. They really, really are. I mean, they're just so good. You know, and if you can't afford the big one, get the small one, because the small one is, it doesn't have the effect side. You can't send things backwards or into half time, but but it is bare bones. Oh, that's another thing as well. Is really cool about these Dittos is if this has happened a few times with me. Like, if you're kind of like, if you do like a backing track and turn the power off, or you have a power cut and everything goes down, this retains the loop. So when you power it back on, the loop's still there, which is just like, yes. There's been many a times when I've been playing and I've been coming up with a backing, and the power's gone out or something's gone wrong somewhere. I don't know, just the weird little electronic gremlins that kind of creep in. And I've gone, oh no, I had that backing track perfect, and then I turn it all back on, or it comes back on, and it's still there, and I'm like, so I love that for that. It's so cool, and I love that you can store things in this. It's just great, absolutely amazing pedal, So that's the looper I'd recommend. That's the looper I used, and that's why I use it. It's because it's absolutely awesome. I tell you. So yes. Sorry, everybody, about drinking my tea, but it'll go cold otherwise. Anyway, so I do apologise. Oh, by the way, do you like my mug? Okay, so anyway, moving on to final question of the day, question 4. This is a quick A&Q, people of Tube. Okay, so this might be a tangent. I don't know. We're about to find out. Okay, so question 4 is, do you think John Frusciante played around with his tone control a lot when performing Under the Bridge? No. John doesn't really mess with his tone control a great deal, from what I hear and what I see. I've seen him use it, definitely, yeah. I mean, he definitely plays around with it a bit. But John in Under the Bridge manipulates his volume more than the tone control. So on the intro, his volume's kind of on full whack, and when it comes into the first verse, he dials it back a bit just so it's a bit calmer for that first bit, where he's just doing those simple chords and not kind of doing any diddlies or anything like that. So but when Chad comes in on that kind of like that E major 7 chord, you invariably see him roll his volume up and it get louder, and then the second verse from then on is kind of like volume on 10 really. But I would say John plays around with his volume a lot more than his tones. I've seen him. Don't Forget Me at Slane Castle is a good example of him dialing back his tone, but he puts it back forward again onto 10. He only dials it back a little bit. There's only a little bit in Don't Forget Me. He messes with that. But John isn't really kind of one of those people that really messes with the tones a lot. Like I say, it's more volume, it's more selector switch, and pedals. Really, there's not really a great deal of kind of flitting between the tone controls and volume controls, selector switch, pedals, all that kind of thing. He doesn't really do that. He's not that kind of guitarist who stands there to kind of like find that thing. It's like when the guitar's on 10, that's his sound, if that makes any sense. So like when everything's on 10, that's his sound, so he can just focus on performing, instead of kind of like trying to figure out is that tone in the right place kind of thing. Trying to think if there's any other. There's also a good example of volume. Use of volume for John is I Could Have Lied on the Off the Map tour DVD. I Could Have Lied at the Off the Map DVD. John starts with his volume. I would say it's somewhere around 7 or 8 on his Strat. I'd be leaning more towards kind of like rolling it back to 8. And for the first verse and the first chorus, and then the second verse leading into the second chorus, and then the kind of a breakout bit, you can hear you can see him. He rolls his volume back up, and it gets more distorted and more powerful. So but as far as tones goes, not really. He doesn't really do much with his tone. You know, there's not a great deal going on there. It's all really down to volume more than anything. You know, like they are there and he does use them occasionally, but not really. You know, he's not, like I said, he's not really one of those guitarists. Like, you know, like for instance, like Joe Bonamassa always rants and raves about, like, you know, how the tone control is important and, you know, you should mess around with it and this, that and the other. And it's like, and I get where he's coming from. I totally agree to an extent, but I don't, when I'm, give you an example here. When I was doing gigs about 2014 to 2016, I was using my Marshall Governor and Electro Harmonix double muff exclusively for everything. And what I was doing, I was riding the volume control to get cleaner tones, overdrive tones, distortion tones, and full out fuzz. And it was all doing it from the guitar. But what I found, because before that, what I was doing, I was just clicking pedals on and off for different sounds when I wanted them. So if I wanted it clean, I'd turn distortion off. If I wanted it distorted, I'd turn it on, that kind of thing. You know, the Kurt Cobain immediate route of tone. And I found that to go to the volume and the tone controls were more of a distraction for me. And I didn't like how they were pulling me out of myself when I was playing. They were pulling me out of the guitar because I was like trying to find that sweet spot on the volume to get it clean, and then sometimes that'd be too bright, so I'd try and find a sweet spot on the tone to make it where I needed it to be. And eventually I just got really fed up with that. It got really on my nerves eventually to kind of like, you know, figuring out, trying to find these points on the guitar, and I was like, this is really annoying me. So I went back to like turning pedals off and on. I immediately, like, you know, fell in love again with that immediacy of pedals. And John's that kind of guitarist, you know, when John wants distortion, he just kicks on his DS2 or his fuzz or, you know, or his, you know, his Ibanez to an extent, his wah. You know, and I think that's the thing. There's the least distractions. Sorry, I think sometimes the better for performance, because I don't want to have to think about when I play live. I don't want to have to think about my tone. I want to know when I start playing that it's right. So as soon as like you know, people are watching me play, I don't have to worry about trying to find the sweet spot on the tone or the volume. I can just concentrate solely on giving them the best performance I can give them. You know, and I find personally, like, you know, messing around with tone knobs and volume knobs is just a distraction sometimes, and I don't like it. I can see why, you know, people like Eddie Van Halen just did away with the tone control altogether, you know, and I can see why people just have a volume control, you know, and just don't have tones, you know. I personally would never not like a guitar without a tone control. I like a tone control, even though I don't really use it. But I think it's an important dial to have on your guitar, but it's not as important to have to use it if you don't want to. You know, it's one of those kind of taste things. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to use it, kind of thing. I think there's a lot of emphasis put on this in this day and age because of Joe Bonamassa. But like, you know, if you always run the tone somewhere lower down than where you kind of like, you know, you set the amp a certain way and then you lower the tone on the guitar. It's like, I don't work that way, and I really don't like it. You know, I like my guitar to be on 10. You know, it's like everything kind of cranked to the teeth. And just like, you know, any kind of increases in volumes or intensity or stuff like that, they come from pedals. You know, I rely on pedals that way, and, you know, obviously my amp in a certain, you know, in a certain respect for the power. And I think John's pretty much the same. You know, the intensity of John's kind of like tone comes from how hard he hits the guitar, because, like, you know, because of the way his Marshalls are set and the way his whole setup responds. Is if he hits it harder, he gets more distortion, whereas if he hits it lighter, it's a lot cleaner. You know, it's that typical, you know, Valve Marshall thing from, you know, the plexi thing. You know, you lay into those things and they overdrive, and you ease back and they clean up, kind of thing. So yeah, well, same as any amp really. But the plexis do that really, really well. I don't know, that's a very, you know, to me it's a really cool quality of the plexi, is how they clean up with just in like different intensities on velocity of how hard you hit the guitar. But like I said, yeah, I mean, John doesn't really mess around with his tones, especially not during Under the Bridge. You know, there's there's no need to really, there's no need to be playing around with it. I mean, I'm sure he has occasionally, but most of the time, if you watch him, he doesn't really go near his tones. He'll go near his volume a lot and his selector switch a bit. But a lot of songs are kind of preset pickup wise. Like Under the Bridge is just neck pickup solely. He doesn't really go to the bridge pickup at all. I've seen him do it occasionally, but that was during the 1991, 92 era when he was in a weird phase. But invariably, John would stick to the neck pickup for Under the Bridge. He won't go to a bridge or anything like that, or the middle. He never really ever used the middle pickup, to be honest with you. Anyway, it was always neck and bridge. And it's just a case of kind of like just kind of making it as easy as possible. So all you need to focus on is your performance. You know what I mean? And just giving all you have to the music and people. You're not kind of worrying about kind of like, where's, I need, my amps sound this way tonight. I better kind of like find a sweet spot on my tone, and then it changes. And, it's, I don't want that distraction. I think John's kind of the same. I don't want to put myself in the same league as John, but like, there are a lot of guitarists who are like that. I mean, Kurt Cobain was the same as well. Everything was just on 10, and if you wanted more grit, the DS2, the DS2 or DS1 or Sans Amp or whatever he used at the time, that went on, to create aggression. And then when it went clean, he turned it off. And it's the immediacy of that I like. Like, that was one of the things that really bugged me about the volume control. Rolling back the volume to get clean, rolling it in to get distortion, was there was no immediacy in it. So like when like a song like wants to belt in and you want to kick distortion on, all of a sudden it goes like to another level, goes through the roof. With a volume control, it was a lot harder because you had that swell of it kind of going from clean to kind of like up through the layers of distortion to where you needed it to be. Whereas with a pedal, you can just hit it at the right time and it's woo, and it's there. And then when you don't want it, it just goes away. And I really love that. I really, really like that so much more than the volume control thing. The volume control thing's really, really good fun, and I used it for years. Like I said, I used it for a long time, but eventually I just went back to what makes me happy, like that in that respect. So yeah. But like I say, does John use his tone control? No, not really. Every now and again, especially, but not during Under a Bridge. Under a Bridge is more of a volume control kind of song. Roll it down for the first verse and then roll it back up and then leave it there. At 10 for the rest of the song. I can't think there's anything else. No, I mean, yeah, the same with his Gretches and his Telecasters and his Jag. They are what they are. Everything's usually on 10, and that's just the way it is. And the tonality all comes from his amps and his pedals when when they turn things off and on and whatnot. So there's just the less distractions the better it is. And like I say, I really see why people go along the lines to remove tone controls and make guitars simpler. Like Jerry Cantrell with his Rampage, which has got a single humbucker, single volume, and actually lot. That's it leaves a lot more kind of like, there's less margin for error, and there's also less option paralysis. Adding even the Gretsch with its single volume and tone could give you option paralysis, because there's so much play in this tone control and this volume control to get it kind of like in the sweet spot. Depending on where that is, I would rather the sweet spot be everything on 10, and I'd have to worry about it. You know what I mean? That's the way my brain works anyway. And a lot of guitarists work that way. Kurt, John, Jimmy was kind of a bit of both. Jimmy would kind of like play with his volume control a lot, but he would kind of like there'd be all sorts going on with Jimi Hendrix's playing. He was the master of it all. Be that what it may. But there was definitely kind of a lot more use of a volume control in John's world than there is tone control. So my crikey, yes, kind of tangent, but anyway, yeah. I could talk about it for hours. I'm not careful. Anyway, yes, if you want to submit a question for Q&A Wednesday, everybody, the description box below has an email link. Thank you very much for questions. I hope I've answered them okay. As usual, I've got the fear that it was rubbish and didn't make any sense, but hopefully it did. And have a great morning, afternoon, and good evening, everybody. And I will see you again for another vid very soon. I forget what the next one is. But I'll see you again for another one, whatever it is. It might be this fantastic guitar here, but I don't know yet. But either way, we will find out when the time is right. Okay, so anyway, have a great morning, afternoon, good evening, everybody. Yes, and goodbye now. Thank you very much for watching.